Good morning, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Just wait for some people to come in. All right. All right, let's get started. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jason Norris, member of Progressive Action, E-Board member, RTOB division, current administration. First order of business, May 1st, Wednesday, May Day, the assault rally, 2 Broadway. We'll be in the plaza across the street from 2 Broadway. The Bowling Green station where the train station is at, that's the plaza we'll be in. Everybody, if you can attend, even if it's for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, this is for everybody. This is not a partisan thing. This is not, it's just something that Progressive Action holds. And, you know what I mean? This is something that we do try to do every year. This is, it's important to us. It's important to us. It's important that we keep this issue on the front burner, because the environment that we have to work in that puts the riding public at risk also keeps us at risk. This environment has become more and more and more and more toxic, more harmful to us. The spitting, the assaults, the crime that's happening that they say is not happening, that is happening. A lot of it is going unreported. That's why the numbers seem to be in line with what they're saying. But we know for a fact, as we going through and we ask the customers if they want to get police involved, a lot of them, if the assaulter or the person harassing them or whatever's going on has left the train, they just leave it alone and ride to their stop. So this rally is important that we keep it in the public, keep it in on the front burner, keep it in everybody's face that this environment has to stop. This is not a positive work environment at all. This is not anything. This is not an environment that anybody would choose to come and work in willingly. This is. Nobody chooses. Nobody looks at this and goes, okay, this is what I want to work in. And before you say law enforcement has the tools to deal with these things. We're not equipped with the tools to deal with these things. We're not issued the tools. We're not issued the training. So, these things are things that we shouldn't have to deal with. These are things that we shouldn't have to deal with at all. Shouldn't be a part of these things. Should be far and few between in our work environment. The EDPs, the homeless on the train, those type of things. This system is not made for that, and the system can't handle it. And it's showing every day. It's showing every day that the system can't handle it. So Wednesday, May 1st, 12 p.m. Please come and show up. Show up, show out, voice your opinions, voice your concerns. Especially if you're an MTA worker, voice your concerns. This is about you and for you. This is really to keep you on the front burner, to keep, these issues of ours in the forefront. Now, connected with this, we just got a bill passed in Albany. Now, I don't think the bill is necessarily bad. I just want to see how it's going to be enforced, right? Because we've been told for the past couple of years, if you assault a transit worker, it's up to 7 years. We've yet to see anybody receive any of that, right? So this bill, what is it going to do? How is it going to help with comp, right? Because if you go out on comp, a lot of times it's controverted. Now you're fighting to get your money. How does this help? Good morning. Good morning. What's going on, Rich? These are the things that we have to ask. Just because a bill gets passed, how is it implemented? Right? How is it going to help us? How does it help us as workers? As how we going to be made whole? Nobody comes to get assaulted. Nobody comes to work for that. How is this bill going to help us? How's this bill interpreted? You know, are there any provisions that's to tell the DAs that they have to do this or do that? You know, these bills, sometimes they're implemented and it's a goodwill, but there's no teeth sometimes. And I think that's what we have to be worried about, is whether or not there are going to be any teeth or any force to enforce these bills. And if we got court cases, we need to show up. I think the union needs to do a better job of publicizing that. That way we can get out there and go, and we must go. This is not about the union administration at all, because that can change every cycle to cycle. Every cycle, it could be a new administration. So are we going to stand on it for our people, for our members, for ourselves? Or are we going to let it go by the wayside? No matter who's in office, what's going on, the message needs to be out there, and we need to show up and keep ourselves in the public eye. It doesn't matter who's in there. It's in terms of, in relation to it, a lot of the times who's in there is a discouragement to people participating. I know that, and I know it to be true, that people will not show up for certain individuals. They will not show up for a certain administration en masse. They won't do it. I think we need to stop that, and I think we need to show up en masse no matter who's in charge or who's at the helm. Just when you show up, don't take photo op pictures. Don't let them try to show the masses that they encouraged it. If that's how you feel, don't be available for photos. Turn your back on the photos. If you're there for the work and to make sure that ourselves are taken care of, then that's what you're there for. You don't have to show up for the photo op, and you don't have to feel pressured for it either. So if that's the case, if that's what's holding you back, show up and don't take the picture. Don't be in the newsreel. Don't gather when they want to put you. Don't gather. It's a silent protest. There's nothing wrong with that. You showed up for the work itself. You didn't show up to be publicized. It's no problem. It's no problem. But if we can show that a lot of people have coming out, because they're gonna have the video camera rolling as we're coming into the building, as we're leaving, or as we're congregating, waiting to go in to that courtroom to hear what's going on. And I truly believe that we need to show out in mass. And it doesn't need to be a departmental. It needs to be all of us. It truly does. It needs to be all of us. It doesn't matter if it's our RTO, if it's something, anybody had something in RTO happen. It would be great if RTO showed up in mass and the other departments supported us. But we need to show up in mass as transit workers, first and foremost. You know, that's one of the things we need to do. But Wednesday, May 1st, 12 p.m., 2 Broadway, in the plaza across the street, assault rally. All right? That's the assault rally. Now, the next thing I want to get to is We had another bill passed about the provisions for the Tier 6 pension. And there's some very good gestures. Some things that are very needed. Tier 6 does need to be changed. My only grievance with it is, just last election cycle, we were told that our Tier 6 pension was worth its weight in gold. Everybody who is, well, I'd say 90% of the people who are fighting now, that are in the union, who are there in this administration, were the same people last cycle who agreed that our pension was worth its weight in gold. If last cycle our pension was worth its weight in gold, what is it worth now? It got to be worth platinum now, right? Because it was worth its weight in gold back then. What is it worth now? Please don't be fooled. They're fighting because they have to fight. They are. They're fighting because they have to fight. Tier 4 needs to be funded. And if they don't fix Tier 6, you will not be able to hire enough people and retain them to fund the fund. They need people working to make money to keep in the fund. Remember, your pension is not something benevolently paid for. You work and they take a portion of your money and put it in the pension. They're not paying it. We don't have a zero contribution like Tier 1. We don't have that. We don't have that. Everybody fighting for Tier 6 right now, fighting because they have to. Just 3 years ago, the union had all this propaganda material out, and they were coming around the system. Your pension is worth its weight in gold. My estimation, if it's worth its weight in gold, one election cycle ago, it's got to be worth platinum right now. Are we on our way to diamond level? Now, I say that facetiously. I'm trying to make light of it because I don't understand how it could be worth its weight in gold and it be so flawed. It was known it was flawed from its inception. The union membership or the administration at the time agreed. They agreed to it. They complained a little bit, but they accepted it. And then they fully embraced the person who enacted it. Cuomo enacted it, and our union administration fully embraced it. They fully embraced Cuomo with it, and slowly knew that it would have to change. Now, I don't know if there was some behind the scenes talk that, listen, we're going to do this to show a certain face, and over the years we'll fix it, but it needs to be fixed. Everybody who is Tier 6 right currently and coming on board needs to get in on this and keep the feet to the fire. This needs to be had. This change needs to occur. Because not only do we want parity with Tier 4, we want to be able to have the choice of whether to live in New York or the tri-state area, or we have to evacuate. There's no reason that you should be a civil servant working at a restricted level because you're not making what free market for your title is making. So you're already on a restriction. But you have something that a lot of free market jobs don't have as a pension. But what is your quality of life going to be when you retire? Will you be going from eating steak and chicken to cat food when you retire? This is all relevant. The same amount of comfortability you have working is what you want to have when you're retired. That's what you want. But you got to hold these people accountable who are in this administration. This members first. It's a nice name, but it's really, really, really not what is truly. It doesn't feel like members first. It really feels like members we forgot, members we now have to look out for, or we remembered that it was members first. Because this is crazy. Well, dual employment is a separate issue. They're really, dual employment has probably come up more after the pandemic because people have seen that they can do things remotely and earn extra money. And this company does not want to lose. A lot of people were lost because the private sector saw what the pandemic did to the economy. And it upended it. And people were making choices. Now the private sector has to compete. And they before were like on a non-compete clause. All these nobody competed with each other. But the pandemic caused it to be every man for itself. And now you've got heavy competition in the private sector. People want to get the best and brightest. And they're doing whatever they can to get it. So if it means poaching or putting out jobs that pay a little bit more, they don't care. They want to win, and this is a dog eat dog world, truly. And they are going to take all of the workers that they can from whatever company. They don't care who they bleed dry. They want to have the best performing workforce they can. And it's hurting the public sector because people who are new hires, who generally would be getting a boost in having stability, are leaving or they're not staying. So you've got a lot of people who come in, and the legalization of marijuana has also contributed to a lot of this too. Because people are finding jobs that, as long as you're not high while you're working, we don't care what you do in your private life. Be comfortable, but just be sober and ready when you get to this job. These public sector jobs that we have safety sensitive on, you cannot get high at all. It can't be in your system at all. And a lot of these other jobs don't care. That's your private life. One of the worst things you can do is drink alcohol. Alcohol has contributed to so much more violence and destruction and loss of life than all of these other illicit drugs. So when they compare it, if you go home and you're comfortable, well taken care of from this job, and you have no gripes, and you smoke a joint to relax yourself and go to sleep, and it makes you kind of pick up your production because your quality of life in your mind is higher, they don't care. The employer doesn't care. So for them, it's great. I got somebody who's going to work for their comfort. It doesn't work like that in these civil service jobs, especially the safety sensitive titles. So you got a lot of people coming in and they're leaving. And, a lot of people in the union that say, oh, people are not leaving at that clip. But there are a lot of people who are not even coming in to the hiring phase. They're not coming in to put paperwork in. They're looking at it and going, I drug test, I don't even want to deal with it. I don't deal with it. I run into a lot of these people on the platform, grocery store. If I'm out in my uniform, they tell you, oh, I almost took the job, but y'all got these restrictions. What are they going to do? This is one of the proponents. This is one of the ways that or one of the things that they're using to move Tier 6 forward, because the job growth is not what they estimated it to be. The projections are off. They're not getting the people in the door that they thought they were going to have in the door, because the environment is way more competitive than was thought to be. The thought was people would give up smoking weed to do these jobs. The truth is, a lot of people are conflicted, and there are a large population who are not giving up their comfortability to do these jobs. So you have to be cognizant of it, that it's tougher and you have to offer more. Right? You guys heard me say in other lives that right now, today, I believe I'm worth $50 to $60 an hour to do what I do. And I truly believe that. The performance shows, right? So if you don't believe you're worth that, they don't care. They don't care. But I'm going to do another live soon. I've got a Eboy meeting. We'll get to discuss what these bills are and what their ramifications are. We're also going to be questioning the implementation and how the DAs are going to be instructed to operate with these bills. I want to see minimums given. You're spitting on somebody minimum year and a half, depending upon their record, right? But nobody should be walking away with anything less than maybe probation, anger man, something to disrupt their lives to show there's a consequence for their action. There has to be some sort of lasting consequence. You just can't, that is one of the most vile things you can do is spit on another human being. Is to take your bodily fluids or excrement and put it on another human being. It's one of the most vile things you can do. It's one of the most vile things you can do. And to live a life or go unpunished, oh, you got a little anger management, we'll expunge your record or seal it or what, that's not good. That's not good enough. That is not good enough. None of us come to work with it in our, it's not even a thought in our mind that today, most of us do not come to work with that on our, with a forethought of that. We don't come to work with that. We come to work going, all right, I know there are going to be some problems out here. There's going to be some disruption. How can I get through that? Get my breaks, get off the train, decompress, get through my day and get back home. Most of us come with those thoughts. We just want to get through the day and get back home safely in the same condition we came to work in, and we're entitled to that. We are entitled to that. You're right, Drum. You're right. Misdemeanor is real, but we need it to be on record. We need some sort of punishment, inconvenience that is lasting. That when this person's name is pulled up, this is attached to it. And that they have to explain their actions to somebody else. Right? The embarrassment needs to be lifelong. That if you're of sound mind, that this needs to occur. And if you're not of sound mind, these charges need to be enacted, that these persons or person or whatever it is needs to be locked up. EDPs and all that, that's no excuse. Because then that's a societal issue, and that means society has failed us as workers. Right? Society has failed us to house and take care of these people. Because if they can't take care of themselves and we have to be at the end of their bludgeoning stick, that's not right. That's not right. And also these bills, how are these things going to affect us going out on comp and all that has to be spoken about too. Because if the law is seeing that these are valid charges and valid accusations and all, we should be able to go out on comp, undeterred, not getting abused, not having the payments and all. We should not be harassed in that state. We should not be harassed at all. At all. But I'll have more for you guys hopefully next week. We have this Eboy meeting, and I'll be back because this is a real hot button issue between Tier 6 and this assault, because it directly affects operating positions, bus drivers, train operators, conductors, station cleaners, car cleaners, some MOW titles who are out there in the field and everything, but the operational positions and I guess what you would call the support titles for operating positions, station clerks and all those are the things, or those are the people, that we have to watch out for, because we are the front line, right? And you're right, Rich. You're right. We should be able to defend ourselves without, absolutely. I do tell people all the time, do what you have to do to maintain the quality of yourself, how you came into work today. I don't say no more. I don't elaborate. I'm just saying, do what you have to do to go home in the same condition you came to work in. Whatever happens, happens. We'll figure that out. But I would hate to have to call your loved ones from a hospital to tell them that you are been assaulted, you are on life support. I would hate to have to make that kind of phone call. That would hurt my heart that I would have to make that kind of phone call, because we do not sign up for that. The police department, corrections, those people sign up for that. They sign up for that. And we have to lose that mentality, Celso. We have to lose that mentality that we're just a number. We are not just, to the company, we may just be a number. But you are not a number. You are a person. We do not refer to each other by our BSC numbers, by our job numbers. We do not refer to each other as that. We need to drop that. We need to stop that. We are human beings. We are people. We deserve respect. And if we deserve it, we demand it. All right? We need to stop that. We need to stop with that phrase that we're just a number. We're just a number to the company. We're not just a number to ourselves. We need to stop that. We are not just a number to ourselves. We do not refer to each other by job numbers. We do not refer to each other by lines. I don't hear bus drivers do it. We are people. We are people, and we need to lose that mentality. And if we lose that mentality, this job, this union, everybody has no choice but to deal with us. We need to stop dealing with each other like this. We need to stop that. We're just a number. We need to stop those phrases. We know who we're just a number to, but we need to stop it. All right? We need to change our thought, our paradigm. We need to stop that. All right. Next order of business. We are in the election cycle, people. That's why you see pool tables coming out. Please do not be fooled by a pool table. Do not be fooled by a pool table. I've been talking with a lot of senior men lately, a lot of senior personnel. Please be careful how you use these pool tables. Remember, you got to be on your train 2 minutes before it's time to go. And they can write you up and hold you accountable for that. Please do not be out of place because you're on this pool table. Please know that wherever there's a pool table, that the thought that the train is not moving is because one of the crew personnel may be at that pool table. Beautiful gesture, but it didn't do anything for your pocket. It didn't do anything for your pocket. It didn't do anything. The quality of your life at the job is not dependent upon a pool table. Please don't let that fool you. It's a good pastime, but let me tell you something. Like, I've talked to about 30 senior men, 30 senior personnel. The more that pool table is used, the more they're going to look at the jobs you got. And they're going to look at it and go, you got a lot of time to play pool. Now, for the switchmen, no problem. Their job is WA. And their job is as assigned. You know, there really isn't there's a schedule to layups and put-ins, but it's flexible upon availability of equipment. If the equipment is not available, there's no work to be done at the moment. Or if there's something coming, I have a schedule at 7 o'clock, but we got a BO train. The BO train is going to replace your schedule at 7 o'clock. That's just what it is, right? That's just what it is. That's just what it is, right? So don't be fooled by these pool tables and these video game give out, the PS5s. Don't be fooled by the raffles and all. That's fake camaraderie. That it is. It is. Because we don't have the same environment. I applaud buses for what they have. Because buses reports to one centralized location. We don't have that in RTO or subways. We don't have it like that. We don't have that. And the pool tables can't go everywhere. There's no physical space for them everywhere. You know, Van Cortlandt, Parsons Archer, Woodlawn. That may be it. I don't know if Wakefield's going to get the space they have to put a pool table there. That may be it. Stillwell had one, but the one that's in Stillwell is in Coney Island Yard. The pool table in Coney Island Yard used to belong to Stillwell Terminal. But please don't get fooled with that. You're right. You're right. You're right, Jerome. This is nothing but a Band-Aid. This is a feel good about what we lost, because these are the same people who bring you the pool table, are the same people who voted for this contract. And they were fully behind it. Fully behind it, clapping, begging for applause. I was there. And if you don't believe me, ask Michael Taylor. Ask Michael Taylor. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe me. But the same people who are bringing you these pool tables are the same people who are clapping and applauding. And that contract wasn't that great. Now, Mr. Davis was just at the train operator meeting and spoke on that contract briefly and said what he got. In my estimation, it's not what he got, it's what he accepted. It's what he accepted. He accepted that contract. There was no big hard fight for that particular contract. Maybe a few things in it were a fight, but the fight wasn't as big because there were some social issues attached to it that could embarrass the company. That contract was like, for the past 3 contracts, there was very little difference in those contracts. In terms of gains, we didn't gain in any of those 3 contracts. Monetarily, no. We did not gain. And this last one we were supposed to gain. We lost a lot in COVID. We lost a lot. We lost a lot. And we should have walked away with more than what we had. We should have. Now, nobody's exposing them why it happened, but we should have walked away with more. But like I said, the pool tables, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Absolutely. Absolutely. We paid. How can we improve the... Well, first of all, the people negotiating on our behalf have to absolutely be clean and unfettered. You cannot go in there with a weakness. And you, as the administration, have to be able to galvanize the membership behind you. It cannot be fractured and splintered. You cannot cherry pick. In my estimate, I was just talking with Tramel this past weekend. And I've been saying amongst the E-board that, in my estimation, we're too big to win. The company knows this. We're not like the PBA, the Police Benevolence Association. They're all police officers. Even if they work in different titles under the police officer title, at its core, they're all police officers, right? That is not what we have in our union. Our union should work more like LIRR and Metro North, like me and Tramel were talking about. That the way it is you gotta negotiate for your craft. Now, we should be broken down into smaller, even if we put buses and subways together, we're operations, right? That would cover one segment of what the business does. But right now, when we go to the table, the company goes, all right, we're throwing out a half of a cow. You guys figure out how you're going to cut it up. We're not going to do it. And that's basically how it happens. You know, there's not going to be, you know, there's not going to be, it's not a prefix dinner or a prefix meal to where everybody's going to get the same. It's not going to work like that. And I don't think it should work like that, because you got the MOW titles who take a loss in pay because they have guaranteed work. Right? There is no furloughs, no layoffs for them. But those things don't necessarily worried of service positions because we supply service no matter what. If there's nobody on the street for 2 hours on the street or in the subway, the train and the bus must run. It must keep its schedule, right? So that doesn't affect us. But in the real world, for tradesmen, if there's no work available, they have to be laid off. That doesn't work down in transit. There's always work. There's always something that has to be done. But the trade-off is they don't get paid what free market gets paid because they're constantly working. They don't have to, even if there's no work for the week, they still have to report. They may have to maintain their tools, check their equipment. All those type of things may have to be done. They're still working. Benefits, all that is no problem. But we are too large to meet everybody's concerns. We're way too large. And you're right, the night differential needs to be looked at. Yeah, I know, Chris. I know. There's more goodies to come. I know. And this is what it is. You know, this is the normal, you know, for what's going on. But the pool tables and please, people, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. You know, somebody in their administration already criticized them, you know, that if you can't dazzle them with brilliance, you got to baffle them with bullshit. And the pool tables is bullshit. It's a pastime. You're not entitled to the pastime, right? And nobody's going to focus on that or bring that up, that if you're all of these senior personnel who told me, please don't get fooled by the pool table, because if there are too many people, if it looks too comfortable, they're going to examine what your work is, because they're not paying you to play pool. They're not paying you to set up a PlayStation 5 somewhere. They're not paying you to do that. They're paying you to work. This is a working environment, right? And this is not, you know, places like Google have these things set up because the demand for your work is large, right? This demand is that we want to succeed as a company, and we'll bring amenities in. If you work 16 hours here, they're going to be free lunches and all of this type of stuff. They're going to be places where you can go take a nap, go sleep. But if the production stays high, it's worth our wait. It's worth what we're putting out. This is not what you have at transit. It is not. It is not what you have at transit. So do not look at places like Google, you know, as a place where we can have some parity. There is no parity. There is nothing in common with Google and transit. Don't look at it that way. Please don't get caught on these pool tables, because if you get written up because of it, how many times are they going to write it up before they say, you know what, take the pool table out of here? There's nothing the union can do to say the pool table has to stay there. It's not the union's property, right? And those crew rooms are what's provided for us. If they really wanted to do something revolutionary, from what we're seeing with the plans for the expansion of the Q line to 125th Street, there's talk that there will not be an effective break room. That whatever's there will be for us to turn around, because we'll probably be there for no longer than 20 minutes. If you look in the plans were analyzed. The plans were analyzed, and there was nothing labeled as break room or lunchroom in those plans. Now, if I'm wrong, please point it out to me, Mr. McIntyre. So if you are playing pool and you need to be on the train 2 minutes in advance, you cannot cause a disruption with their service if you're playing pool. They'll have a fight. They'll have a fit about that. They will absolutely have a fit about that, and they will use it, and they will, you know, what the hell? All right, sorry. But they will use it as a means to discipline you. They will use it. I've seen it firsthand. People playing pool in Coney Island Yard, and they're supposed to be on the move, and just one more shot, and they get caught up. And it's somebody relatively new. And the dispatcher got to go out there and tell them, you got to go and report to your move. You got to go do your move. Right? So don't get caught up. Because a lot of times, I don't know if the people in the union tell you, a lot of people will watch what the senior people do and try to adopt that. You don't have the expertise in your job title yet. You don't have that expertise. Please don't get caught up with what the senior men do. I've got 11 years this year on the job. I don't do any of those things. I get a move, I get up and I go to the move. Because it's very easy to put yourself in a position where you can lose your job by destroying their equipment, running the bumping block, splitting the rails, causing damage to equipment. Please get up, go do your job. Put your job ahead of that pool table. That pool table means nothing to you. That pool table is a pastime. And most people don't have enough time off the train to even utilize it. You don't. You don't have enough time off the train to utilize the pool table. It's nice that it's there, but what does it really do for you? What does it do for you? But that pool table is a farce. Don't buy into it. Don't buy into it. Exactly. You're right, Mr. Simmons. Nobody wants to be... See, that's the environment that we have here. That people don't want to be at work. They want to be able to come here, do what they got to do, and leave. There is no comfortability here. Nobody wants to be here and be... why would you want to play pool if you're getting jerked around all day? Why? Simple and plain. But don't be fooled by the pool table. Don't be fooled by the raffles and the barbecues. All of those things are nice things, but they are not intertwined with your union administration. They're not. They're not. Because before all of these things were happening, they were happening in the A Division. They were happening in Coney Island Yard. They would do... All these things have been happening. It's just sometimes the people who were actually throwing them or responsible for them had retired. And nobody had the wherewithal or the presence of mind to know how to logistically put it together. That's all. That's all. It's not a big goal to throw a barbecue and all of that. Look at Employee Appreciation Day for RTO. That, Mr. Taylor, what's going on? If you look at Employee Appreciation Day for RTO, we got pizza. Other departments got hot buffets. When we got it for RTO, it was an afterthought. It was like they got caught with their pants down. Like somebody, hey, remember this? And they were like, oh, shit. Oh, we got to go do that? That's what happened. You got a lot of cold Domino's pizza and stale donuts. And cold coffee. You're right. You're right, Miss Enriquez. That day was BS. It was an afterthought. They sent pizza from one location to the next, and they put the pizza boxes on the floor. How do you feel about that? Absolutely. Well, Mr. Simmons, they're not going to let you in on their process. They rarely don't even let the departments in on the process. Right? If it weren't for certain entities in RTO, I would not know the whole process of how you come together and what's more important or what is just a pomp and circumstance thing that they just go through the motions. Right? I wouldn't know all of these things, but a lot of these things are decided without the input of the union. When they polling you, they're trying to hit a target that way. If they can hit that mark, so be it. But, absolutely, they're unprepared. They're unprepared, but we're too large, and their unpreparedness shows because there are things that the president wants. There are things that the top four are fighting for, and the top four are normally not from the same department. And then the VPs come in and they're fighting for what they're fighting for. And then the division chairs come in, and the division chairs have a better grasp of what's going on in the department and what they need on a day-to-day. And there's a fight. There's always a fight as to what's going to happen. There's always a fight. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Meeks. But there's always a fight. Wow. Wow, you got bags of cookies. Jeez, that's a slap in the face. That is a real slap in the face. Wow. But me personally, this last go around, absolutely they need to make their monthly meetings and make their voices known, make their voices heard. You're right. You're right. But what they need to do, what we need to do is, my personal feeling is the next contract, it needs to be money and benefits only. We're not discussing anything else. We have to make a platform and we have to solidify a bedrock that with money and benefits, period. We're not discussing anything else. Everything else can be discussed outside of the contract through negotiation. But when it comes to the contract, money and benefits, period. You know, well, you have to give a reason why people should show up to meetings. If your representation is very lackluster, yeah, MOW, but see, remember, MOW has that ability. They work a set shift, right? And they still haven't figured out a way to inspire RTO to come to meetings, right? And I try to tell people, this is my idea, that we need to get together in 10-man groups, 10-person groups, and when we go up, we may be signing for one, but we're voicing for that 10-man group. In that 10-man group, the personnel rotates out, in and out, in and out. And if 9 or 8 or 5 of the 10 persons can go and voice their opinions, they need to do so. They need to do so. Because you can't have the same 5 to 10 voices always voicing either disconcern or concern or better advocacy, you can't, because sooner than later you'll be labeled as the crackpot. You're the same voice that comes in and is screaming at and howling at the moon, right? That's not good. The voices need to change, and the union representation needs to see that it's not just a few. They need to see that it's the many. They need to see a groundswell. You're right about that too. You're right about that too. Well, more shop stewards are going to be created. There's going to be a new program called RTO Specialist for RTO. And I don't know what the other departments will call theirs, but that's what's going to be implemented. But you guys have to stay on top of that as well. You can't let this turn into a members first shop steward program for its only members first personnel or their people in. You know, you can't let them create that narrative that it's only for them, by them, and they control the reins. You can't let that happen. You can't let that happen. You have to be on top of that. You have to be on top of that. But please, we are in an election cycle right now. And, people are going to say, oh, they're only showing up because. They're only showing up because. And that's going to be the members' first slot saying that. They're only showing up because we already know outside that they're showing up because they want your vote. Because how often did you see them? All these so-called shop gates, those are not shop gates. Those are like electoral forums for them. Because I don't need to show up to feed you, to engage you and talk to you. I don't need to do that. All these things are just gestures. How fruitful have they become? That's the question you need to ask yourself. We do need to fix the voting system. We need electronic voting. We need that. Absolutely, it's a bribe. Absolutely, it's a bribe. I'm going to show up, and hopefully, as bad as I am over this chicken wings and pork fried rice, you'll forget about it. Please don't fall for it. That's the banana in the tailpipe. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. And if the administration is so good, they should be able to walk into any room and engage everybody in that room without having to feed you. That's the mark of when people respect or admire or are welcoming of your presence. You don't have to show up with anything, and they will accept your presence in there, and they will embrace your presence anywhere. I have no problem walking into any room. I don't come in there with food and treats and games and trinkets. I don't come in there with that. I don't come into any of these rooms with that. Wherever I go, I engage people. And if they say I'm doing wrong, how am I doing wrong? Please explain it to me, and I'll do better. I don't need to have food and gifts and trinkets. I'm not going to be bringing blankets with smallpox to try to kill you guys. I'm telling you that right now. When you see me out there, if you don't like something I'm doing, say so. Say so. I use the transit system to move around. This happens, Mr. Phoenix, this happens all the time. All the time. Every election cycle, we have it where it's like Mr. Simmons saying, it's done on purpose. It's done on purpose. Because it's whoever they feel may be the voting bloc that's not going to vote for them, they don't want that ballot in their hand. Ms. Enriquez, we do it every time. They do it all the time. And they'll go and correct their address with the union, and they still get the ballot sent to the wrong place. And they'll go, oh, it was a miscalculation, or it was an error, is what was said. Well, Mr. Dowell, a lot of these crew rooms that are getting pool tables are very large. If you go to Van Cortlandt, Van Cortland's a very large crew room. Woodlawn is a very large crew room. Dye is small. Pelham is not going to be able to take that. Parkchester's a part-time crew room because it doesn't, run service on every tour. And I don't know if Stillwell really doesn't have a place where you can have that, because we need the amount of tables we have there. We have that need. We have that need, but you're right, Drum. You're right. It's a no vote for those who are in. Mr. Simmons, keep that plan in your head until you're ready to act on it. You know how these people are. They will take your ideas and run with them. Keep it to yourself until it's time to act on it. We have to change the bylaws to get electronic voting. We have to change the bylaws. And a lot of you have to vote by department and all of that to get the bylaws changed. There's a lot of pushback on that because electronic voting is very new territory to them. And a lot of those people who are in know they will be voted out if the process change. If the process changes, they will be voted out, and they don't want that. You've heard Trammell say a lot of times that they want to be corrupt in peace, and that's a true statement. That is a true statement. A lot of these people want to do what they want to do and get paid out, and when they get paid, and they'll tell you politely, like, listen, don't disrupt me while I'm doing what I'm doing. I'll turn it over to you sooner than later, but don't disrupt me. Let me do what I'm doing. And that's really what's going on. That's really what's going on. A lot of people want to be there, and a lot of people who are there now for the first time see that that's what's going on, and they want to be a part of it, and they'll do whatever it takes to be a part of it. Okay? They'll do whatever it takes. So please, don't be fooled by the pool tables. Don't be fooled by that. Those pool tables are it's a gesture. This is like when Rome was having problem with its citizens, what did they do? They had the gladiator games, right? This is to distract you from what's going on. Don't let this be a distraction to you. You're right. You're right. But now the problem in Van Cortlandt on the one line is how you mitigate that? How do you mitigate that? Because I know I've been to Van Cortlandt. Those tables around, and those tables can hold about 6 persons comfortably, very comfortably. 6 persons can hold at those tables without people being elbow to elbow. You're right. What are you guys going to do now? Is there the placement of the pool table? Is there better placement? What are you going to do now? What are you going to do? I don't think they want to do that. But the company that they use to count the ballots and have the whole process has all of these things at their disposal. The union just refuses to use it. The union refuses to use it. All of these things you're describing, you can bring vote the same way you go pick, you can go vote at these locations, right? Because everybody has a pick location. Every department has locations where you can physically walk in to pick. These are the same locations that can be used to vote. Right? The same locations that can be used. So there's no denying that. There's no denying that. And furthermore, everybody, even I hate to use the phrase, but even our most senior people on the job have smartphones. Almost all, I'd say 99.99999% of us have email addresses. Why can't we use that? Why can't we vote like that? That's what I want to know. How come we can't vote like that? We all have the capability. If you have true 100% participation and involvement, it will cause upheaval of who's representing you. It would also cause upheaval of what is going to be negotiated for. Because you cannot deny that person had their hand in the election as to how it made it go forward. And these things cannot be denied. They cannot be denied. And the will of the people will be done. But if you do not see the will of the people, you can say that the people are not engaged. You can say that. Absolutely, Drum. Absolutely. The same amount of time and effort it takes can be done the same way. It can be done the same way. But remember, please remember, the pool tables, you don't get paid to come to work to play pool. Please understand that. Please understand that. And we do not have the environment that was here. That a lot of the women and men that I've talked to in these past 2 weeks have expressed to me that back when they started, the actos and the generals would come out and play pool. Because those people matriculated from the bottom to those positions. And they were more, not in league, but they were more well respected and accepted by the mass of owlies. And they could come out and play pool and there would be nothing done. There would be no harm brought because somebody had 2 hours a while on the job. Because that general, that acto, had come up through that system and understood why that job was needed, or understood that it was, you know what, this guy has busted his hump his whole career. He deserves to be rewarded in that fashion. I cannot give him extra money because they get paid by contract, but me not messing with that 11-hour job with 2 hours worth of while in it and his lunch is you know what, he's worked, or she has worked for that comfort. They did not disrupt that. But now you got actos and generals who go in there looking to slice everything down, to scalp everything, and to show executive management, look at what I've done. You know, look at what I've done. Look at what we're going to save. Look at how I'm saving. And they don't realize sometimes you are saving in one hand and spending twice with the other. Because you cut down a job that could cover several other functions. But now you have to truly pay for those other functions. You need the bodies to do it. So don't let the pool tables fool you, please. The pool table could be to your detriment, because the more they hear the cue striking the ball and those balls cracking across the table repeatedly means there's not enough work being done. So good passing. How do you maintain it? What happens in the felt rips? Who's going to pay for that? Right? So let's really understand what we have here. We need money and benefits first. We don't need pool tables. This is not the Roman era. Do not put a party. Do not put on a show. Do not have gladiator games. They're nothing but distractions. We need money and benefits. We need better benefits. We need better things attached around the titles that we're negotiating. We need better. Pool tables are not better. I hate to say it. I'm not an avid pool player, but I don't frown on people having some sort of comfort. But under these circumstances, it is just a show. It is just a show. Because it's not really going to serve the purpose that it's meant for. It is just a show. It is just a show. Pool table being in the yards, because when you're in the yard, you're on constant wah. If there are no moves to be made because the barn has got trains up on the stands and all of that, and they're still working, then you're not moving the train. You're not. The union is not concerned with your dual employment. The union is more concerned with your availability. Period. That's why the availability clause is there. The union they're not going to ask, or they're not going to fight for dual employment because they want to get their availability money. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. That availability money can, if it all pans out correctly, can be $20 million in the union's pocket. You think the union's concerned about your welfare and your home? They're going to tell you got a job, you're getting paid, right? The union wants that availability money before you can get what you want to get in your home. Believe that. Believe that. The union wants that availability money. And in order to get it, you have to be available to work. So if you're available to work, there is no concern for them. You need to be here first and foremost, because we have a vested interest in you being here. If all of you guys show up and you meet availability numbers, we're going to get our money. After that, we can talk. But we're not talking about any of your comforts in your home and how you live and your comfortability until we get our money. And you see that through the contract. You see that that's what it's been. That's what it's been. And there's no denying it. If there was the ability to deny it, that availability clause would not be in the contract. And it's the second contract it's in. It would not be in the contract. Right? It wouldn't be in the contract. If it was up to them about, my thing is with the dual employment, as long as you get 8 hours of sleep before your shift, I don't care what you do. If you're supplementing the income in your home because you want to have a home, especially when it comes down to LLCs, because people who own multifamily units normally go up under an LLC. Why do I have to tell you about an LLC which is taking care of my property and separating me from personal litigation because I've incorporated the purchase of this home to keep my personal living wage from being liable in what goes on with this home? Why is that the company's business? Why is it the company's business? Why is it the company? This company's not, it's none of their business how you run your personal finances. If you got an LLC and you got 10 apartment buildings, you probably got a management company running all 10 apartment buildings. It's just the LLC is the entity that is the corporation for those, right? To remove you from any personal liability with those properties. You created a limited liability corporation that manages those properties. Even if it's the home you live in. That way you cannot be tied to any litigation. That's all that is. That's just to keep you from any litigation. That way if you are sued, it's the company that's being sued that owns the property, that's running the property. Not you as a private entity or private citizen, and then your paycheck is liable to be garnished. No, that's all that is. But why is the company interested in that? Are they going to try to show that people have extra income? Why not? This is always going on. Why is it a problem now? Why is it a problem now? Is it because 85% of us are black and brown? Is that something that's involved in it? That, we've taken these civil service jobs, and a lot of us have worked ourselves to death. It takes a lot to make $150,000 down here. It takes a lot. Now, if you're doing that and you're investing in all of that to make it comfortable for yourself, why is that the company's business? Why is it the company's business that you're working yourself to the bone to invest? That way your kids can have something in the future. Isn't that how wealth is made? Isn't that how you care for your generations that are ahead of you? That you have something tangible to leave to them? That's how things are done in this country, right? Because we're always told about wealth building, especially now. We're told about wealth building. You have to make money while you're sleeping, right? So why is that the company's business? Right? That don't sound funny to you? That they have to be in your dual employment doesn't consist of that. Because if I only give that an hour out of the day, why is that your business? What does that have to do with you? Just be concerned about these things, people. Don't be fooled. All right? Don't be fooled. All right, I'm going to sign out of this. I'll see you guys next week. We should have an Eboy meeting. I'll have more information for you on those bills and how they're going to come about. The Tier 6, we're going to have the discussion on that too. So I'll see you guys next week. Thank you.